I'm sure you guys are noticing the drastic change here in backdrop scenery. No, I did not change studios. This is the same studio. You guys are just seeing the other side of it for the first time. There's a logical explanation for this. My shelves, they fell off the wall this morning. When I had this studio built, I asked my contractor to make it soundproof, and to his credit, that is exactly what he did for me. One of the problems that I did not anticipate, the door going in and out of the studio is heavily sealed. During the winter months, the door can be difficult to open and close. Long story short, those shelves behind me, they were extremely heavy. After months and months of constant vibration from me opening and shutting the door, the shelves, they finally gave out this morning, crashed to the floor, damaging about $500 of decorative pieces. My poor Rex Chapman suffered serious injuries to that grotesqueness he calls a face. Luckily, Smelly Gemelli, I guess my girlfriend threw away Smelly Gemelli. I was gonna say Smelly Gemelli was here on my desk. My beauty queen. She was able to escape any damage. I have been wanting to revamp the backdrop anyway. Now I've got my opportunity. Probably take me a couple of weeks for me to come up with something, so just bear with me in the time being. And when I say me come up with something, I actually mean my girlfriend. I am completely useless when it comes to decorating or pretty much anything outside of this channel. But for now, this right here is the backdrop that we just got to work with. All right. Let's get into Bob Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, Bobby D. When you look at the last 6 or 7 weeks, this disastrous relationship between Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, who would you consider to be the victim here? Well, KC, there is no victim. They tag teamed the cucumber, receiving equal amounts of pleasure. This marriage was a shining example of true equity. That's true. But if you had to pick a victim, if you were forced to pick one, who would it be? Like half the marriages in this country, Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, they're in the middle of a nasty public divorce. Most divorces are not settled amicably. This divorce is no different. When most people go through a divorce, there is a perceived victim while the other person is normally blamed. For example, man cheats on his wife. They have 3, maybe 4 kids together. Wife files for divorce. She is the perceived victim. The man carries the blame. In this very public divorce between Bobby D and Buddy B, and the fallout that's happened as a result, who would be the victim? I would imagine most people would say Bud Light. Even though they are a victim of their own circumstances, even though they made terrible choices that hastened their own demise, Bud Light has suffered the most consequences, right? We are 41, 42 days into this boycott, and Bud Light sales continue declining by double digits. The boycott's already started to spill over into other brands of Anheuser-Busch. Michelob Ultra, the beer preferred by birthing persons concerned about their weight. Natural Light, the beer preferred by financially challenged college students and adults living in cardboard boxes. Busch Light, the beer preferred by people with bad taste in beer. This boycott, it's not only affecting sales of Bud Light, it is affecting the entire company. I guess you could call this true equity. All brands of Anheuser-Busch are collecting equal amounts of dust. I would not classify Bud Light or Dylan Mulvaney as actual victims in this situation, but if I had to choose the divorcee who has suffered the most, it's gotta be Bud Light. Not according to Dylan Mulvaney, though. No. How dare you think this greedy corporation is the victim? Corporations don't have feelings. Corporations don't have desires. Corporations cannot choose their gender. I am a real birthing person. I have feelings. I am me, Bobby D. Earlier this week, Dylan Mulvaney was the guest on the Diversion podcast, hosted by something called Dear Schuyler or Dear Skyler, Dear Shitfuck. Hell, I don't know. Doesn't matter what his name is. And I hope I'm using proper pronouns here. I'm going by the eye test, which used to be reliable. But as you guys know, it is very difficult these days to properly confirm gender without the assistance of a biologist. The birthing person hosting this show has facial hair, but just to be safe, we're going to go with he, her pronouns. KC, what the hell is the Diversion podcast, and who is Dear Schuyler? I have no idea. I was surprised to find out they were a multi-award winning podcast, which I find that hard to believe Since they barely have 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, with 114,000 combined views in the last 8 months. Perhaps they have a big audience on Grindr. I was also surprised that Dylan Mulvaney would choose to go on this platform. Hell, you can't even call this a platform. It's not even a foundation. In the world of YouTube and podcasts, this thing is like a tent with a hole ripped in the top so Mother Earth can piss on you when she rains. Dylan Mulvaney has millions of followers across all social media platforms. Now, why would someone with that much reach, that much influence, why would they give an interview to an unknown podcast hosted by someone they pulled from Tent City in Portland? Maybe, just maybe, Bobby D is coming to the realization their influence is rapidly diminishing. I'll explain more on that here in just a second, but during this interview, Dylan Mulvaney tried to be the victim in this divorce with Bud Light. I tell you, unknown birthing person sitting across from me, I can't handle the trauma anymore! I'm losing sleep at night! There are millions of people who don't like me! How could you not like me, Bobby D? Look, I have no doubt Dylan Mulvaney is losing sleep at night. If I were in this situation, I would be losing sleep too. Like I told you guys before, this platform Dylan Mulvaney built, it's all based on a gimmick. There is no talent here. There's no substance. It's some former dude who is now a self-described woke woman prancing around on the beach trying to teach real women how to apply makeup. Have you seen Dylan Mulvaney's makeup? It looks like it was put on by a blind man with no hands. You would be better off taking makeup advice from me than listening to Bobby D. And I don't know the difference between crayons and eyeliner. I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to makeup. When you build your platform based on a gimmick, the gimmick eventually becomes stale. When the gimmick becomes stale, your influence rapidly declines. When your influence declines, guess what else declines along with it? Your bank account. I want you to take a guess. How many views did this interview with Dylan Mulvaney get? According to the media, Bobby D is an A-list celebrity. Wasn't that long ago Drew Barrymore was worshiping at the feet of her Lord and risen King. But take a guess. How many views? KC Dilly has millions of lonely male followers. At least 100,000 reached climax watching this beauty queen. You're not even close. The margin is about as wide as Leah Thomas and the propeller when they're swimming against women. 50,000. Nope. 25,000. Nope. 10,000. There had to be at least 10,000 horny men looking for woke love. This interview's been live on YouTube for almost 4 days. In 4 days, 7,000 views, 34 likes, 3 comments. Just for perspective, a video with 7,000 views should have 500 to 700 likes, 50 to 70 comments. Now keep in mind, this interview has been heavily covered by the mainstream media. There has been plenty of publicity, but for some strange reason, people just aren't interested in Dylan Mulvaney. There was something Dylan Mulvaney said in this interview that I thought was revealing. Actually, I think this is critical going forward, and it shows that this Bud Light boycott is working. It shows the power that we have as normal people. During the interview, Dylan Mulvaney implied that accepting the Bud Light deal might have been a mistake. Bobby D admitted to not being prepared for the backlash and the controversy that came from it that's been going on for nearly 2 months now. Let me explain to you why this admission is critical. The only reason these major corporations are hiring transgender influencers is because it checks a woke box. It shows our company is dedicated to inclusion. Bud Light brings people together. We want to see Tran Dan enjoying a nice brew with Harry Hetero. We want to see Questioning Quentin sharing Bud Light with Paula Plus Plus. Because the media drives this narrative that society is accepting of this lifestyle, major corporations, they thought they would benefit by being inclusive. Dylan Mulvaney has endorsed other brands before, mainly brands that cater to women. While there was minimal backlash, it was far from severe. Story lasted 24, maybe 48 hours in the news cycle, then everyone just moved on. But this endorsement with Bud Light was completely different because it was a brand that catered to men, real men, men who are not afraid to speak out. If companies come to the realization that partnering with transgender influencers is bad for business, in some cases, especially with smaller to mid-sized companies, if they come to the realization they could go out of business, guess what they're going to stop doing? They're going to stop promoting the transgender lifestyle. If and when that happens, and the way things are going, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Matter of fact, I think major corporations are already coming to this realization. You think other major brands aren't taking notice to what's happening to Bud Light? Anyway, when they come to this realization, the promotion of this lifestyle disappears. This doesn't just apply to the corporate side either. It also applies to the influencer side. Dylan Mulvaney also admitted, "I will no longer be accepting sponsorship deals from companies who are looking to check a woke box." Say what you want about Dylan Mulvaney, but this shows me Bobby D is starting to get it. Bobby D is starting to understand. How many times have I said, Dylan Mulvaney is being used and doesn't even know it? Now, Dilly is starting to wake up. I don't think Dylan Mulvaney will have to worry about too many sponsorship deals going forward because they are going to start drying up. I think their influence is rapidly diminishing. People are tired of this bullshit. It's nothing to do with Dylan Mulvaney personally, but people are tired of men wanting to be women. They're tired of dudes taking over women's sports. More importantly, they're tired of these influencers trying to influence their children. This fight is far from over. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they're just going to replace Dylan Mulvaney with some other transgender star. But this Bud Light deal backfired on Dylan Mulvaney. A year from now, Bud Light will still be around. Well, maybe. But this time next year, Dylan Mulvaney will likely fade into the shadows. But no worries, no worries. I saved a special spot for Bobby D in the woke cemetery. We can put Big D right between Donnie and his lemons and the donut diva Brian Stelter. But give me your thoughts. Do you think Dylan Mulvaney's influence is diminishing? With this deal with Bud Light backfiring, do you think it could result in the end of Dylan Mulvaney's career in the mainstream? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.